Improvisation and Uncertainty. This is a real skills workshop. And the third time's the charm. The first time we scheduled this, was it the first time Rebecca broke her ankle or what?
Yep.
Yep. So the first time my oldest daughter broke her ankle coming off a ginormous horse, over 18 hands tall. And so I left to drive to be with her and see her through her surgery. The next time we were getting an ice storm. And yeah, that just didn't feel like a yes. And then we tried to reschedule it, and then a snowstorm was coming, and we decided not to challenge that snowstorm. And here we are, third time's the charm. And I do believe that improvisation is a core part of thriving, and it is a skill that's often blocked, a skill and an experience that's often blocked by perfectionism, just like uncertainty is often blocked by all kinds of things, right? Our embrace of uncertainty, what is that blocked by, Kathy? You're Kathy from the Intimacy Dojo and Thriving Now.
Yeah, it's delightful to be here. I think this is just a really important topic because um, we don't like to feel uncertain in general. And I think Rick, this group tends to be a lot of people that have faced trauma, uncertainty as a child, and we have aversion to it. Like our bodies are like, oh, I associate that with bad things. And so we tend to be more avoidant of it because it can be really scary to us. Our nervous system is like uncertainty is the same as being overwhelmed and being a small child and not having enough information or whatever or skills. So I think that we tend to have aversion to it. We don't things that we have aversion to. We don't often get more experiences with. We avoid them. We like, nope, not that. I'm going to go a different way. Um, so we don't really build up the muscles or the capability of just being with that uncertainty. Like that very feeling is like I consider it like two north magnets. When you try to put them together, there's like a breaking effect and you don't want to go there. But if we can't be uncertain, we can't really be with now. We can't be with what reality as it is. We're planning for what we think we want to have and then trying to steer things to what we think would be a good outcome rather than what is here right now. So I think it can really take away a lot of the joy of life, the flow of life, and it can also prevent us from like I don't know about you. I'm curious what people think. I have an aversion to uncertainty, and I will commit to something, and I'm going to do it no matter what because I've said I don't want to create uncertainty for other people. I really want to like make this thing happen that I've spent hours planning for. My brain has thought of all the different iterations and like I've invested so much. I just want to make it happen. And that's not always good for me. It can be really like I could be sick or I could be tired or it just isn't a good and I'll try to make it happen. And that isn't I want to be more responsive to life as it is and how I am as I am rather than trying to force things to conform to whatever map or picture I made in my own head. So I'm curious if other people have the similar experiences. If you want to share in the chat, we'd love to hear what comes up for you when we're talking about this.
Mhm. Well, I want to honor that, like a lot of the things that you and I have worked through around reprogramming your primitive brain.
Mhm.
To me, you're the kind of person that can make things happen, right?
Yeah.
Like if if uh if bad weather is coming,
Mhm.
you're the type of person that would see and be able to sort out what do we need to pull together
Yeah,
right
you're
this
similar.
minute
Yeah, let's
to get
plan
through
ahead.
this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, we're our ancestors are the ones that survived.
The ones that
Okay.
planned ahead usually.
They were like, oh, the ones that didn't survive were like, oh, there's wood all around here. We don't need to collect any and keep it dry. And they froze to death, right? And so, like, the certainty about not freezing to death in the mountains is one of those things that, guess what? When the ice storm was coming, I saw ahead, oh,
You're
I'm
great.
in Hurricane Helene territory. There's a lot of trauma here from people that were caught unawares 10,000 year storm, once every 10,000 year storms will do that.
Yeah.
And so I ordered my little propane bottles for the space heater, um, 5 or 6 days in advance. When I went the day before to the Home Depot, uh, there was nothing. Now
Yeah,
I was
everybody's.
I was going just to see if they happened to have any like rock salt or anything. We had some already,
Mm.
um, but they brought out 100 generators that had just arrived on a truck, and by the time I had walked down an aisle and walked around and come back the other one, there were two left, and then they were gone.
Oh, wow.
100 generators, a less than 24 hours. Now you know, the amazing thing to me is that our ancestors did learn that we needed to provide for shelter, we needed to provide for food, we needed to provide for care in order to get through the hard times. And so my primitive brain is not going to give up on that. If I try to tap on uncertainty related to survival and putting some energy toward it conscientiously, um, my primitive brain wants to keep some what it considers a sweet spot. But here's the thing. A, I did a lot of tapping around my own trauma around Helene and the preparedness and lack of preparedness. Um, and so I was pretty diligent, but not stressed. I didn't have that haunted look in my face.
Yeah.
When I was in Home Depot and I looked around, I could see that person is haunted by the past, and you can tell by what they're just throwing things into their cart,
Everything graphics.
anything that could possibly be survival oriented. And I started tapping again for myself because a part of me goes, oh, don't I have to do that too? Right? Our primitive brains resonate with others in our tribe and that we're connected to. And so if the uncertainty if some of the uncertainty in your life is really related to uh, life itself, survival of you or someone you love, the kind of tapping I do, which I'm going to model here, is something that honors my primitive brain, but also tries to invite myself, my whole self, into being skillful in this situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, you tapped. I saw you were here during him when you and you were tapping and talking it through, and it was very stressful. And I think it might have been more tapping required if you'd been there during the
Oh, no
process.
question.
Yeah.
No, I would have signed up for sessions with you to go through the sounds and shock and other things. So for each of us, our traumas are unique and how they flow into what's happening in our world now, or some of the uncertainties that are, getting us to pay attention to. So if if I'm doing this for myself, I will pick. I will try to see if my brain will pick one uncertainty. Okay, there's a big one in my family, and I'm that one's that one feels okay because I do tapping on it regularly. It's um but if it feels too big for you to do in a group right now, maybe pick something that is uh, a little less intense. I'm going to leave that up to you, of course. Please take care of yourself.
But we do encourage you to pick something and have it in your mind, maybe jot it down on a post-it note that can help you stay focused. And that's one of the reasons that being able to stay with the one thing and kind of tapping it through a little bit can be much more effective than just kind of letting our mind wander. Our brain wants to stay away from things that it thinks are difficult or painful. And when we can stay a little bit focused with that and tap, we're helping our nervous system clear and also learn that hey, this isn't so bad. I can handle this. And it's often fear of the feeling that causes the most distress and the most issues in our lives because we're running away from something. When we can learn that, hey, it doesn't feel great, but I'm fine, then we can start handling, like Rick being in the Home Depot. If he hadn't learned how to just, oh, I'm scared and uncomfortable, but I know how to plan for this, he might have been someone just going down the shelves and pulling things in, spending a lot of money, having to store a lot of things that didn't fit, and not having some of the things he really needed. So the more we can teach our nervous system, hey, it's okay to feel this, we got it, just feels a little uncomfortable. We're training it. We're building muscles for feeling this and for dealing with it better. So
So we start tapping at the side of the hand, sometimes called the karate chop point. We're not
I put
teaching
the
tapping
link.
in this workshop.
I put the link in the chat.
Startednow.com/tapping
Yep.
is where you can get a free guide,
Yep.
even though this uncertainty feels just way too much.
Even though this uncertainty feels just way too much.
And a part of me wants to hide from it.
And a part of me wants to hide from it.
And a part of me wants to push, push, push.
And a part of me wants to push, push, push.
I acknowledge there's an uncertainty here.
I acknowledge there's an uncertainty here.
And it's a big one.
And it's a big one.
It may even involve life and death.
It may even involve life or death.
Death ahead. This is just so big.
This is so big.
Eyebrow. Such a huge uncertainty.
Such a huge uncertainty.
Side of the eye. It's almost impossible to cope with.
It's almost impossible to cope with.
Under the eye. And I'm elected.
If I'm elected.
This uncertainty is mine.
This uncertainty is mine.
And I might share it with others.
And I share it with others.
And alone. And I want to feel what? How would you like to feel?
I'd like to feel calmly confident.
Yeah. I'd like to feel real and optimistic.
Feeling optimistic. That's a lovely way to feel, yeah.
I'd like to feel real.
I'd like to feel real.
There's an uncertainty here.
There is an uncertainty here.
And I suck at pretending.
And I suck at pretending.
And I want to be optimistic too.
And I want to be optimistic too.
And sufficiently prepared.
And sufficiently prepared.
Now, when I say sufficiently prepared, like a cascade of things come up. If that was true for you, you can pick one that like there's some possibilities that I actually can't prepare for. Okay. I can ground myself. I can be I can keep myself strong as I can emotionally, keep my relationship strong, and there's a possibility that just doesn't, it feels like, well, I will just have to be in that if that's what happens, right? There are qualities of preparation, but the actual one possibility, life or death possibility, is just feels so big that if I try to be prepared, I just kind of know that I'll need to do a lot of praying. Even though some possibilities are just too much.
Even though some possibilities are just too much.
I'll just have to live with it, live through it.
I'll just have to live through it.
It's not the only possibility.
It's not the only possibility.
Tablet head. It's the worst possibility.
It's the worst possibility.
Eyebrow. And some things you don't prepare for.
And some things you don't prepare for.
Side of the eye. Well, not directly.
Not directly.
Under the eye. I can what? What can you do? Feel into what's true for who you are. If there's an uncertainty that's like horrible. For
We
me,
can still line up resources and clear whatever we can.
I can keep my love strong.
I can keep my love strong.
And my prayer stronger.
And my prayer stronger.
and keep my heart of optimism.
and keep my heart at optimism.
Because I want to embrace my capacity to improvise.
I want to embrace my capacity to improvise.
Top of the head. The truth is, I've lived through some shit.
The truth is, I've been through some shit,
And I bet I've developed some powers there.
and I have developed some powers there.
Oh,
So I invite you to notice what's going on in your body and your mind as we're doing this tapping. Um, One of the more recent models they have of how human consciousness works and how the brain works is that our brain is kind of a prediction machine based on our knowledge and experience. We kind of predict what's going to happen next, and that's not, and it's adjusting as it goes. So that's great. I mean, that's very useful. Um, and I think that people that have experienced struggles when they were younger, and I think most people here have, more sensitive people are more aware of what's going on, and some of us have faced abuse or trauma of other kinds. Instead of planning for the 3 or 4 things that are pretty likely, we start planning for the 100 things that could go. We kind of like, okay, yes, I'll plan for the power going out, but what if the power goes out and there's a flood and someone's sick? Like we kind of go, we spread it out, and it's very tiring. I've noticed I kind of watch my brain. It's like the CPUs are going real fast and trying to calculate everything. And then I kind of want to plan for everything. And that's now my nervous system is like, oh my God, all these things that could go wrong. And I'm, like I'm focused more on the negative than probably is reasonable given my current life situation, and, modern technology and everything. But our brains don't always update from when we're young, when we're really overwhelmed. And we saw bad things happen more often than probably the average person has. So our
growth
brain, like
resource.
our prediction is off, our calibration is skewed because we're like, oh my goodness, I have to plan for bad things all the time. And I'm curious if anyone's noticing that in your brains.
Let's do. Would you lead us in some tapping?
Yeah. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath. If it feels good to you, karate tap. Even though I do like to plan for things,
Even though I do like to plan for things, and that's not going to change.
I'm pretty good at predicting some outcomes.
I'm pretty good at predicting some outcomes.
I might spend a little too much time and energy on this.
Might spend way too much time and energy on the negative possibilities.
It takes a lot out of my life.
It takes so much out of my life.
It's harder to be present with the people I love
It's harder to be present with the people I love
in my actual life.
and my actual life.
Top of that, I invite my brain to recalibrate.
I invite my brain to recalibrate.
When I was little, some of these things seemed really dastardly.
When I was little, some of these things were really dastardly.
Side of the eye. So I learned at that age that things could be really bad.
I learned at that age things could be really bad.
Under the eye, more often than is probably real.
More often than is probably real,
Under the nose, at least now.
at least now.
And I live in a different world from back then.
I live in a different world from back then.
Collarbone. But my brain hasn't really recalibrated yet.
My brain is still recalibrating.
Yeah. And I invite it to notice there's a lot of good in this life.
And I invite it to notice there's a lot of good in this life
Top of that, and do planning appropriate for the situation.
and do planning appropriate for the situation.
Just take a breath. See, that feels actually good for me. I can kind of feel my brain like, oh, I don't have to plan for things that are like the 0.01% of a bad thing happening. I can kind of bring it in like, these are really the likely things to happen. The others are very unusual and not likely to happen unless aliens land or something, I don't have to actually plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when we part of what happens, at least from my experience, I'm curious about yours. If I'm planning for all those things, I'm kind of wearing myself out. I'm not getting fulfillment of the current day life and what's going on. Um, so I'm kind of already exhausted. And then if something happens that I didn't think to plan for, I beat myself up and I kind of panic because spent a lot of my energy in the planning. I don't have as much energy to dance with what is Matt here and now.
Yeah. And that's, part of the skill set here isn't always we touch on the big deals because we know that trauma throws us out of being resourceful, being guided. We're looking for the external stuff that could go wrong. And again, my ancestors are like, damn straight,
Go wrong.
don't fail me now. um, and where's the skill actually built up? I believe that in the uncertainties of an individual day, there's a lot of opportunity. Um, so I didn't know that it was going to rain. It was a prediction that the weather people said where I am that it likely to rain today. They were right. I know that right now. It is certain because I've lived through the day and I can look out and yeah, it's got rain there. Um, but what are we going to do as a family? I I didn't know when people were going to get up.
Mhm.
Now, when you're teaching a workshop around uncertainty and improvisation, guess what? These things heighten for you. And
Yes,
so I'll
you really tune
share.
into them very well.
So I'll share that at, 7:30 in the morning, I'm like, I don't know what this day's got. Only thing I know is that I've got a workshop and I hope that it's going to happen. Right. And so if I if I notice where that level of uncertainty hits my body, like
Mhm.
as I'm remembering this morning, the tapping I did was like this feeling of uncertainty in my throat. You can maybe even hear that my voice is getting a little, as I tune into uncertainty about, well, what's going to happen? What are we like right now? I don't know what the family's going to eat. I'm usually the one that does it. We have plenty for them to eat, but I don't know what they're going to eat. Now, if I get wrapped up in that, it's intense enough in my body, not life or death, but it's intense enough in my body because it is related to something that we need. We need food, right? We need rest. We need certain things. And so the tapping I did this morning was even though it's uncertain what we're going to do today,
Even though it's uncertain what we're going to do today.
part of me finds that uncomfortable.
Part of me finds that really uncomfortable.
I guess it's time to improvise.
I guess it's time to improvise.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Might even be joyful.
It might even be joyful and fun.
Cool. Top man. But I don't like uncertainty.
I don't like uncertainty.
I'm certain I woke up at 5:30.
I'm certain I woke up at 5:30.
That's already happened.
That's already happened.
But I'm uncertain what time I'll take a nap.
I'm uncertain what time I'll take a nap.
Or even if I will.
Or even if I will.
I really want to shower,
I really want to shower.
but it's not on the schedule.
It's not on the schedule.
But it might happen.
But it might happen.
I predict it's going to happen.
I predict it's going to happen.
And if it doesn't, the people on Zoom won't even smell me.
It doesn't, people on Zoom won't even.
Hey, primitive brain, this is all okay.
Hey, primitive brain, this is all okay.
Ah, take a breath. So, what did I do? I took things that were irritating because they were uncertain, but they weren't life and death, which meant that I could play with it a bit, right? Um, Notice I was using improvisation. That wasn't exactly the tapping that I did. I was kind of going free form. But that's the thing about, um, I remember when I started off, people kept asking, well, what's the tapping script for that? What's the tapping
Yeah.
script for that?
Yeah, I remember
They're like,
when I would first do it, I was like, if there has right words,
can
no.
you give me the right words? And one of the first articles I wrote was no wrong words. Um, and that turned off a lot of people just saying thank you for being here. I I get the best benefit myself from tapping where I let it go. And I also tap in with other people that are also improvising, and it's helpful to me. Um, but by taking uncertainties that are ones that are showing up in your daily life, and if you were to rate them on a life or death scale,
Mhm.
they're they're down in the less than a 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I even did this last week as we were heading into this thing. My back did a thing.
Mhm.
It's done it a number of times over the last, 30 years. Um, and I was having a hard time typing, sitting, moving, standing up, cooking, wiping
Breathing.
myself. Yeah, right. Like, and so that was painful, but I was pretty sure it wasn't going to kill me. Um, I just needed to let it heal and get some support, which I did. But the uncertainty about like when it was going to ease up, whether this Aleve was going to do anything for me or not, I just tapped on the little annoyances that there's not a certainty about a treatment or a movement. There are certain stretches and movements I've done that have sometimes just been miraculous at relieving my back pain. None of those were doing anything.
Well, and your chiropractor is away. Trying to
My
make sure.
chiropractor is away. The one I went to made it worse. Uh, and the uncertainty of not knowing that even though my chiropractor was on the schedule for Thursday, whether he was actually going to be there or I was going to be safe enough to drive. Is this life or death? No, but it was up at that edge of like, this feels so important. And so those are things that I tapped on. And I noticed that usually when I get a head cold, my daughter likes to share.
She's so
Not
generous.
not her brownie. She does like to share her sicknesses with her dad. We we share the same lack of immunity to anything uh, that that she gets. So when I woke up um, with this huge head cold and headache, I noticed something. This tapping I did on the uncertainty over the last week related to my back pain meant that my attitude
Mhm.
toward my sinuses and my head cold was dramatically more relaxed. I could go from yes to yes to yes. Oh, it's time to take a shower. It's time to ask Jem what herbs she took when she had it that might be helpful. I did. Um, why? So the skill really does have a compounding.
It definitely does.
It compounds for
Because we're
us
not
as we get
sure when we're
older.
sick. How sick are we going to get? How long will it be? How bad am I going to feel? What do I need? There's a lot of tending to ourselves in the moment, and that can be very scary.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, not that sickness again. Um,
So, like the uncertainty around Rebecca's recovery from the broken ankle, she got a great surgery. Um, she's she's visiting the barn again. Not going to be on a horse for a long, long time.
yeah,
But she said to me she's starting to feel more like herself.
yeah.
Um, the big uncertainty that I'm tapping on here during the workshop. Um, any work that I do on littler uncertainties that just annoy me or frustrate or block me or feel like I must be missing something here. Blah, 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 tap, tap, tap. I must be missing something here because otherwise it would be certain. Yeah. I can be delusional too. Um, what it's done is the pain of the uncertainty is is dropping, and what's rising is a kind of realness, a presence with what is,
Mhm.
but not a like it's a presence that includes the beautiful aspects too. It includes an awareness of the support that we have as a family, as um, within our family and around our family. It's and that's what I have noticed with people that the uncertainty is just a bit too much. Is
Mhm.
that if we treat it as okay, yeah, it is. My primitive brain doesn't like uncertainty, and I want to feel what calm and confident, um, uh, ridiculously present with what is anyway.
Yeah, I love that. Ridiculous. Just this. What is here?
Huh, what is here?
What is here?
What is actually here right now?
What is actually here versus what I think I'd like to see?
What am I certain about from the last 3 minutes?
What am I certain about from the last 3 minutes?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have survived,
I have survived.
and this workshop is happening.
That's workshop is finally happening.
Yeah. Ah, ah, there's my certainty. It's now.
There's my certainty here and now.
But I don't know about 5 minutes from now.
I don't know what that means for now.
And that's not a defect.
It's not a defect.
It's not because I'm not smart
It's not because I'm not smart
or prepared
or prepared
or savvy.
or savvy.
And I've judged myself in the past
And I've judged myself in the past
for not having it all figured out in advance.
for not having it all figured out. Yeah, I resonate with that.
Yeah. And I should totally be able to know what the lottery numbers are this coming
I
week.
should totally know what the lottery numbers are this week.
And when my time is up on the planet.
And when my time is up on the planet.
But I don't know either.
But I don't know either.
And I don't know anyone else's either.
And I don't know anyone else's either. I think part of it can come if we have parents that are pretty depleted or low resourced. There tends to be, if anything uncertain comes up, there's tend to be a deflection, a blaming. It's very easy to blame someone else. You should have been more prepared. You should have known that. And that's something my family would often do. And it could have been something that no one had a way of knowing, but there was still that, hey, you should have, it's your fault that you weren't more prepared or more aware. So when I don't know something, I tend to kind of panic and go, oh, guess I'm not as smart as I thought. Well, and beating myself up does not help me improvise. It does not help me deal with anything, but there's a kind of knee-jerk reaction to that.
You want to lead a tapping on that?
Yeah,
I think it
yeah,
looks like it's resonating with some people,
yeah.
like me.
All right. So again, nice deep breath. If you kind of helps you ground.
I'd like you to weave in the word unpredicted because we were talking about prediction machines. Like,
Yeah,
even though that was unpredicted,
yeah.
because I do have I like, there's this,
I should have
I
predicted. I
should
should
have
have known.
predicted it. That's a should for me.
Karate chop. Even though I should have known,
Even though I should have known,
I should have been able to predict this,
I should have been able to predict it,
and I failed
and I failed.
again.
Oh, ouch. Again,
Maybe I'm okay.
getting hot flesh, coughing up a fur ball of judgment.
Maybe I'm okay.
I hope I'm okay.
Even though they blamed me for not predicting accurately.
Even though they blame me for not predicting accurately,
And even for them not predicting accurately.
and even for them not predicting accurately.
I did a good job.
Kathy says I did a good job.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Top of head, I can't predict 100% accurately.
I cannot predict 70% accurately.
Eyebrow, low resource people demand that we predict 100% accurately.
Yeah, low resource people really demand 100% accuracy.
So guys, sometimes I'm that low resource person.
Sometimes I am that low resourced person,
under the eye, and I have all their voices from when I was little.
and I have all their voices from when they were little.
Under the nose, it was just deflection.
It was just deflection.
They didn't want to face reality.
They didn't want to face reality.
Collarbone, it felt like too much for them.
Uncertainty was way too much for them.
And there, so they blamed whoever was nearby.
They blamed whoever was nearby.
Top of the head, that was me.
That was me.
But I don't have to take that blame anymore.
I do not have to take that blame anymore.
And I don't have to blame myself.
And I don't have to blame myself.
And I just invite you to take a breath.
Oh,
Just be, if we're with reality as it is, we can never, there's no way to predict. Like, just this is one of the Buddhist sayings that I really love. Just what's here with uncertainty, anxiety, joy, and frustration, just this right here and now is what is. And if I can just be with what is, I have so much more power and leverage to create something different if I want to. But if I'm denying it, I'm kind of saying, no, 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 I'm going to just play with part of reality that I can face. We're not, I think of it as when I was learning to swim, I learned if you pushed off the side of the wall, a good strong wall, I could go so much faster when I swam. I felt much more powerful, like when I was turning around. But if I don't push off that wall, I kind of fumble and flail around a little bit. And I think when we're similar to that, when we don't face reality as it is, we're not seeing all the components that are there, and we can't adjust as well. So that the more we can train our system that, okay, we're going to try to be with reality as best we can. And it's one of the things I love about, like I've shared before, I'm studying Buddhism. It's often about like, we're not going to get it perfect. I'm studying the precepts for kind of like the 10 Commandments, but they're like, you're never going to achieve what we're saying. You just won't, but you just try anyway. So the more we can try to be with reality, the closer we can get, the more power we have to create the world we want to live in, and the more easily we adapt. If I'm ignoring things, I can't really improvise or adapt really well. I'm leaving out part of reality, and part of the improv is about playing off of something and using the resources that are here. If I'm not even noticing some of the resources or the facts of what's happening, there's going to be something off in my improv, if that makes sense. And I won't have that power.
mm. I so appreciate that we get to explore this because, I we've tapped about uncertainty before. We've had workshops on uncertainty before, but there's this, and as we're evolving this together as a community, there's an interesting thing that I look at. If I'm not in my primitive brain and I'm right now with what is, there are options that open. That's the improvisation that I'm going to talk about in a minute. If I'm trying to find certainty about something, especially the further away it gets and the more variables that are involved, I'm really writing a story. I'm not living. I'm trying to write a story where I end up being okay, or the the one who saw what was going to happen, right? And we look at where people really get sideways. There's something called confirmation bias.
I was just thinking that I wanted to bring that up. That's perfect. I'm going to
So,
remember the times I predicted correctly. I told you so. But we forget the times we didn't get it right.
right. And so the challenge with confirmation bias is that it is something we can do. It isn't totally unuseful.
Mhm.
We're looking for things that confirm something that we're predicting, right? Like I have this prediction of what's going to happen to this thing or this person or this situation, and I start getting attached to the prediction. I start like orienting my life around the prediction, and as the energy moves, improvisationally, my prediction starts falling away as the likelihood. Now, am I going to keep trying to get there? We can, we can slice and ignore um, the things that are actually showing up. But when we do, we end up being pretty far away from now, pretty far away from what is. And and honestly, as I see people who have been in like a confirmation bias for a decade or more around something, um, it's almost devastating
Mhm.
when they have to, like, oh, this person actually does not care about me.
Even though I convinced myself for decades.
Actually, this company is not going to go out of business by 2024. That was 2 years ago, but I was so certain that they were, or um, whatever it is for emotional freedom purposes, like, oh, even though that feels, so this is what I'll do. If I have a prediction that is really optimistic, you know,
That stock is going to go up 3,000
oh,
points.
it's gonna go up 10,000% by next week or within 10 years or whatever. Um, what I can feel is like, oh, even though for me this prediction feels true and accurate, um, and I'm not trying to doubt. I want to be able to move with what actually evolves here.
I want to be able to live with what actually evolves here.
I want to be able to move freely with what is actually evolving,
I want to be able to move freely with what actually is evolving,
including my long term view
including my long term view
and my now.
and my now.
I'm stewarding my future self.
Stewarding my future self.
I want them to show up in a good life,
I want them to show up in a good life.
and there are things to tend to now
And there are things to tend to now,
and trends that might also happen.
in trends that might actually also happen.
I don't have to be locked into my predictions.
I don't have to be locked into my predictions.
And that frees me from having to fret about them too.
That frees me from having to fret about them too. When you're talking about that, I kept thinking about how my belief about growing up, my belief was kind of the family belief was if I wanted something from you, I just gave a lot to you and hoped you guess what I needed. And that was the correct way to interact with humans. And there was kind of a doubling down, like, oh, I didn't get what I needed. I must not have given enough or given the right stuff. Or it was always like, I need to tweak this versus maybe this theory is full of shit. It took a lot to let go of that. But it gave me a huge amount of freedom once I was like, oh, some people just are never going to give me anything. And even the people that are generous and want to help me, it really helps if I say, hey, I would really like this. Is that a possibility? So like I had to let go that worldview I had was flawed. And I was holding so tight to it and doubling down and investing more to try to make it real. And sometimes we have to say, oh, maybe that's not correct. And that takes courage and it takes the muscle to be able to look at reality as it is versus how we were kind of framed and taught. And there's that, I put so much energy into this belief and trying to make it work. I don't want to let go. I want to hold on to that. So it can be really hard to let go of a belief that we've had really deeply held.
Mhm. Well, and what's interesting is when you start playing around with this for me is uh, I can so a prediction that I'm holding certainty around, I can tap on that and say, even though it feels good to me to be certain,
Even though it feels good to me to be certain,
I'm open to being resilient even if that's not the way it goes.
I am open to being resilient, even if that's not how it goes.
Even though that's what I want to be certain,
Even though it's what I want to be certain.
and I'm putting almost all my energy there.
And I'm putting almost all my energy there.
I want to stay nimble enough if it doesn't work out
I
exactly
want to,
that way.
yeah, I want to stay nimble enough so it doesn't work. If it doesn't work out, I'm okay.
Yeah, I want to be okay even if it doesn't go that way.
I want to be okay even if it doesn't go okay that way.
But I want to be certain about it.
And I want to be certain about
It
it.
would be such relief to be certain about it.
And it was such a relief to be certain about it.
I could count on it then.
I could count on it then.
And a part of me is just not that silly.
And a part of me is just not that silly.
And that creates a tension.
And that creates a tension.
It's okay to highly intend something
It's okay to highly intend something
while still staying nimble and resilient.
while still staying nimble and resilient.
Because I do want to be okay.
Because I do want to be okay.
Even better than okay.
Even better than okay.
No matter what.
No matter what. I'd also like to point out, like when you were talking about this, like I had this belief for a long time that if things would just go as I predicted and planned for, everything would be fine. I would be able to relax. But that was just a delusion on my part because things could be going perfect and I would be more nervous sometimes than when things didn't go right. Because I'd be like, what's going to happen next? Oh my God, it's going too well. There was never a, oh my goodness, now I can relax thing. So I think that, it's really nice to hold on, like it's a kind of fun delusion to hold on to. Like I can just relax if the universe would behave the way I want it to, or people would behave the way I wanted to, but it's not really how things happen. And so improv is kind of being able to dance with what is there and choose resources and use them in ways that aren't exactly perfectly planned. And, maybe it's like, oh, I'm going to use a marshmallow to stick that painting on the wall right now for short term or something like that. But it can be kind of fun and creative. And it helps us expand our world. So the more we try to have things under our control and avoid uncertainty, our world can get very small. And our primitive brain, the scared part of our primitive brain, really craves certainty. There's also part of us that really craves change and challenge and new experiences. And I love the saying, magic happens outside your comfort zone. Now, I think it doesn't happen necessarily in the trauma zone, like where I'm so distressed about the changes. That's not necessarily magic. That might be just like, I'm going to cope with it. But when we train our systems to step a little bit outside our comfort zones and kind of dance with that, we often discover parts of ourselves and experiences we would never get to see otherwise. And I just think that's really beautiful. But we do have to build up the muscle to like, okay, I can dance there. I'm not going to panic or run and hide under the bed or in the back of the closet. I'm actually going to be able to dance here.
Someone shared, and I get this. This is a. I'd like to do a tapping and then take our 7 minute break. I want to be able to count on it. Well, yeah, I reliability is incredibly useful in people, in internet, in applications, in love, in food delivery, in you know, we had a friend say, "Hey, I'm going to drop by some chicken soup for you guys on Thursday."
So sweet.
Oh, and she brought it today. It's not Thursday, is it?
No.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Now, somebody else said that they would be dropping off some miso soup for us at 3 o'clock. I mean, it arrived at 5:15.
A little harder to plan, especially with small children.
Well, I I want to be able to count on people to come through when they say they're going to come through. And I can make myself incredibly fucking miserable as soon as I hold on to that. Like, if you want to make Rick miserable, get him to focus on all the unreliability. Like, I could definitely take the rest of our time together to point out all the things that are unreliable, that annoy, that could, and they right now are, annoying the snot out of me. And as a sick person, I got a lot to work with. So even though I want to be able to count on them,
Even though I want to be able to count on them.
I really want to be able to count on them.
I really want to, even need to count on them.
Reliability is a core value for me.
Reliability is a core value for me.
And I hate it when things aren't reliable.
I hate it when things are not reliable.
And as much as I would like to expect reliability,
And as much as I would like to expect reliability,
life has taught me otherwise.
life has taught me otherwise.
It doesn't mean that it's totally unreliable.
It doesn't mean that it's totally unreliable.
Reliability is a spectrum.
Reliability is a spectrum.
And that's hard for part of me
And that's hard for part of me to face.
because I'm reliable on a spectrum too.
I'm reliable on a spectrum too, and I don't like to look at that.
How many times did I cancel this workshop?
How many times did I cancel this workshop?
At the last minute.
At the last minute.
Yeah. Reliability is a spectrum
Reliability is a spectrum.
with me,
With me,
with my kids,
with my kids,
with technology.
with technology.
And the alternative is not going to be no expectations and no plans,
The alternative is not going to be no expectation,
except for maybe in certain moments
except for in certain moments
where I'm improvisationally free.
when I'm improvisationally free.
I love to improvise
I love to improvise,
without expectations,
not expectations,
without a plan and a choreography.
without a plan or choreography.
It is definitely a part of my nature.
It is definitely part of my nature.
And sometimes we have plans.
And sometimes we have plans.
How do I want to be with that?
How do I want to be with that?
So I count on uncertainty. I count on it. I count on uncertainty. And I count on the fact that uncertainties bring options, right? I did not have a choreography. When Kathy and I did our first workshop together, she gave me a 20 page printed out guideline of what we were going to cover in order.
I was very nervous.
This is our preparation, which you can't see, but it's a few sentences.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Right. So, like, the uncertainty allows us to go with what is. What I was uncertain whether anyone was going to say anything in the chat. We've had chats where nobody said anything.
Yeah. Like,
You know,
and
right. Like, I want to be able to count on people putting something in the chat. Can you imagine the pressure I would start putting on if we didn't? But the uncertainty allows me to say, yeah, someone may put something really just right in the chat. And here it is. I want to be able to count on it. That wouldn't have come in probably if this person hadn't shared. So thank you. And that's the exciting thing to me about acknowledging that there's a part of me that ancestrally knows that for survival, if something feels at a certain level of uncertainty, it probably is calling for some attention, but not desperate clawing unless whether I'm going to be able to take another breath is what's uncertain. And when we get into the spectrum of it, uncertainty, when blended with an improvisational heart and attitude, now we see that every uncertainty leads to possibilities, which lead to possibilities, which lead to possibilities. And so when we get back
like
from
long pages of notes, we didn't have room to tune into what people wanted in the class. And Rick and I now, when we jump on, we're like, even if you don't share in the chat, which we do love, but we can see people's faces, we can see how they respond. Like, there's a definitely tuning into the audience that is here, the people that are here. So some planning is useful, but sometimes we can plan ourselves out of the actual experience that we want to create.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. We'll be back in 7 minutes. The chat is open. And if you're joining us for a replay, Yeah, chat below the video. Send us your thoughts and questions. And yeah, so if there's something you want to make sure we're going to cover, but I'm going to start off when we return around improvisational dance, the energy of improvisation, and how we can bring that in a life with so much uncertainty.
Love it.
So
You can tell it.
we're back. Look at all the uncertainty that we just embraced. I was reasonably reliable on the 7 minutes. I did set a timer. But I went downstairs and the kids wanted to show me their fort, and we were discussing what we were going to have for dinner. There's a chance I might not have made it back on time, or that the internet would have dropped and everything else. And just feel in for a moment. If Kathy and Rick just didn't return to the workshop, right? And we were all just you all were just sitting there, and well, how would you handle that uncertainty? Now, for me, I would be um, initially annoyed. So my first tapping would be, "This is annoying. Where are
This
they?
is insane.
Where are they? They're always
Where
reliable. They start on time, usually. Yeah.
are they?
They say 7 minutes. It's going to be 7 minutes. Come on. This is
Yes.
really annoying me. Uh-oh. Now it's been 9 minutes. I'm getting worried.
Oh, now I'm getting worried.
I get worried with uncertainty.
I get worried with uncertainty.
What if I just took a pause,
What if I just took a pause?
felt into my options?
Built into my options.
How do I want to move?
How do I want to be moving?
How do I want to be with this reality?
How do I want to be with this reality?
And maybe I can't,
Maybe I can't.
but how would I like to be?
How would I like to be?
So there were, for much of my life, if something wasn't reliable, it was offensive to me. Still can be. But I'm cultivating a skill of reacting with a pause that says, okay, all right, so this isn't going the way I predicted, to use that word. How would I like to be here? Oh, I can sit and breathe for a few minutes. Okay. Ah, yeah. And yeah, I'm feeling like it's time for me to end the meeting for me. And I don't even feel like putting a message in the chat. I'm glad I have that freedom. Or I want to say something in the chat or not. Or
I don't
um
know if it's helpful, but Thich Nhat Hanh often talks about when we hear the bell, we come back to ourselves. It's an invitation. If we hear a bell or a chime, we can come back to ourselves. And then he also talks about how if something interrupts something, or there's something that like a loud noise, or like I was on a Zoom call with someone the other day and it went away, treat that like a bell. It's just an invitation, an interruption for the normal flow of the pattern. It's just the universe inviting you to come back to yourself. And I found that so helpful. Like the Zoom went off and I'm like, I don't know if he's coming back. What's going on? And I'm just like, come back to myself, pause, and then it came right back. But it was just like I've been trying to treat any kind of disruption as a just an invitation to take a breath and come back to myself. So in case that's useful.
mhm, absolutely. Because we are building and evolving for modern times, both interweaving the wisdom of the ages of our ancestors who also knew that life is going to happen and there will be interruptions. Rebecca's interruption was a really big one. It was a very serious injury. She broke all three of the bones in her ankle. It was called a trimalleolar fracture, and that's an intense experience. And as I talk about contact improvisation and an improvisational attitude, um, keep in mind that that also is a situation where improvisation applies. It doesn't have to be just in the playful moment. So in you may never want to do contact improv dance. I don't know you well enough to assert for any other person whether um, showing up in a space and taking off your shoes, walking out on the floor. There's no music in most of the cases. So your first dance partner is gravity and the floor, and you're walking on it. But you don't have to walk on it. You want to crawl? That's allowed. You want to roll over on your back and put your feet and arms up in the air? That's allowed. It is. Contact improv is a dance form that rose during the wild and free 70s. A lot of dancers were getting tired of just being constrained with choreography. Even professional dancers, they were tired of being told how to move their body. After this, you do this, and when the music does this, you do this, and then, and it felt very um, uh, unfree. And so some people got together and they started saying, well, what if we shared a center of gravity? I call it co-creating in the energy space. But in contact improv, it might be there's Tom. And we both move just on our own. We start moving sideways. Instead of walking to each other, we just kind of hop or wiggle sideways. One of us is doing one weird thing, another one is doing another. And when we meet shoulder to shoulder. It's not high, it's not a hug, it's shoulder to shoulder. And then we start leaning on each other. And Tom's strong too. And we just start like now, the center of gravity is a shared center of gravity. If he leaves, I'm going to the ground, which happens because everyone in contact improv, if his back were to start to hurt or he needed to move away, he's not responsible for me. And we are also responsive to each other. He doesn't want me to fall to the ground and hurt myself. And so he's probably, because Tom's a good guy, going to be looking for ways to move. If he's done with our dance, to move into a different dance that I might stay with or I might move away. I might slide down his leg, which I've done. Imagine Big Rick sliding down this guy's outer leg and ending on the floor and looking up at the ceiling and going, oh, I don't really,
Hi.
I work in this office a lot and I don't really look at the ceiling all that often. It's kind of interesting. Look at the shadows. And then I might roll over under my belly, which again, how many times do you get to roll over on your belly where you're not in a ritual, but it's free form? And one of the things that these people, Nancy Stark Smith, I think that's her name. She's passed now, but she, having observed thousands of these experiences, started making notes on cards about some of the things that she noticed that really led to an experience for everyone that was interesting, neurologically interesting, energetically interesting, playful, rich, deep. And she started coming up with things. And I'm not going to try to share all 20 with you. But one of the things that really worked for me was telescoping awareness. Telescoping awareness. Imagine you come up to somebody and you put your hand out and they put their hand on yours. Now, I could telescope to look across the room, right? Or I could magnify and come right in and really see for the first time, oh, this person's hand, my hand. Notice how my body's moving. We move
I get
in
that.
response to where we're paying attention, including the movement to stillness. And when when I think of improvisation, and I apply it in the dance, telescoping awareness is one of those things. Guess what also is one of them? Attraction. Oh, it's Tom. Repulsion. Oh, it's that guy. I move away. I dance away. I flourish away. I beast away. You're allowed to beat your chest in contact improv. You're not required to be a certain way. We do ask that you not swing your body around with your eyes closed where it might whack someone. Don't yank on people's neck. Don't leap on someone who hasn't clearly invited you that, yep, I'm ready for you to go right up on my shoulder. And they have the skill to be able to do that with reasonable safety. There are things that are a part of the we space that allow it to occur with good and reasonable safety. But traction and repulsion, like touching and leaving, like you could come in, lean against someone for 3 seconds and then be off. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not rejection. It's not that you did anything wrong. It might mess with your mind. Like, oh, I was really having I was so looking forward to that dance. And we were pretending to hug, and they ducked right under my arms and went over to the other side of the room and lay on the floor and rolled, and then was a table for someone else. And yeah, it that experience of contact improv dance taught me a lot about um, you can run parallel to people, you can intersect and interweave, you can um, explore different tensions and release. And when I look at that, if I look at parenting my 5-year-old through that lens, i'm I'm much more myself, because just like in contact improv, there isn't a choreography that she is supposed to follow, except for the one in my head if I try to be the director. But
She doesn't like being directed very much.
no, Super Aunt Kathy's figured that one out. Um, she reminds me of it regularly when I try to fall into that. Now, yeah, there are times when it's like, need you to get in the car and I will carry you if necessary so that we can get to the airplane on time. Um, or to your school before at the time that they have said they really want all the students to be there by this time. But it's not the end of the world. And if I'm doing it in an improvisational way, the cool thing about contact improv is I could be as deep and serious and earnest and mindful or present or frilly or playful. It's not a conversational space. It's a place where you take what is and you feel into, well, how does my body and my mind and my heart want to move with what just showed up 3 milliseconds ago? And now that we're dancing pinky to pinky and they're going down to the ground, I just feel like waving at them and swirling away. Now, I could have done 100,000 trillion other movements, but it's okay because now what I did was certain, and we're all left with uncertainty. What's next? And that's where it wasn't improvising with uncertainty. It's saying uncertainty is, and how do I want to be in that dance, that movement? You play with how you can try to be controlling. But one of the things in contact improv, you don't get to grab someone else's body unless it's very clearly consensual. You don't run along and grab someone. You when I'm a table, the table doesn't grab the other person. The other person is rolling and moving on top of you on all fours. And if they fall off, you can protect your neck, and protect your ankles, but you're not responsible for catching them, if that makes sense. We're trying to co-create something together, and sometimes it's messy, and sometimes you get banged up. My first contact improv big, you know, 5-day event, I separated a rib the first night. But guess what? Some of the people that have been doing it a long time said, just move really subtle and don't get into the mix of things, but do find your dance. Find your dance. This workshop will end in about 11 minutes or so, someone asked. So that's, to me, is there's an attitude of we want to protect each other and be safe. So there's like what is physically and emotionally safe, for our children, for ourselves, um, and to be looking at that. My primitive brain really wants that. When Adira is doing some wild thing, she uses the elliptical trainer like it's a dance partner. And sometimes when she's swinging on that, starts heading toward the window, I'm like, no, no, that move, we're not going to do that one.
And she doesn't always
Pause.
agree with you on it.
Right.
You should.
Um, so that this is the energy of, it is uncertain what's going to show up. If it happens in a group of people that are dancing together that have a lot of freedom, it's going to show up everywhere with people that have as much freedom as they want to try to grab. And there are times when you say, hey, stop, ouch,
No.
no. Those are the words that are allowed. They're more, if you need to communicate. But mostly contact improv is done without words. Sounds, yes. You know, and when you look at, and I invite you to look on YouTube, if you see, a lot of times the videos often show, really talented dancers who really get into the art form and it looks pretty sophisticated. Um, my own dance was often playful, simple. It, as you get to know, those of you who know me, I was that Rick on the dance floor, just without using words. So questions are welcome. Kathy, your thoughts?
Yeah. I'd like you, to, if you're willing to, notice that you came here today. And I imagine that most people that follow Thriving Now have some resistance. So I think people that are sensitive and pick up on things around them, and that's generally the kind of people, intelligent, sensitive people end up here. Um, that means we're picking up on nuances when we were kids, picking up on a lot of different information. Then, there's some people that just kind of like blindly go forward, and they seem to make it most of the time. Um, but for people that really picked up on other people's distress and things weren't going right, that sort of thing, we're really tuned in. And there can be a lot of avoidance to uncertainty. The fact that you're here is just a testament to your courage and your willingness to make your life better. And I think that's just something to notice. Um, when we were talking about this, I kept being reminded of a fable I was told when I was a little kid about the grasshopper and the ant. And the grasshopper just wanted to play all the time and he didn't want to work very hard. And I think there was a very much like, you should be an ant who should work very hard all the time and store all this stuff away in case there's a bad emergency. Um, and I think there's actually some room for both. I think as we get older, there's nuance where we can be um, planning and working hard, but also being present with life, enjoying it, being a little more improvisational. And um, I just invite you to notice that you're doing something really powerful for yourself. You're exploring something by being here and starting to build muscles and seeing other people doing it. Our survival brain is very scared to do anything different until it sees other people doing it and succeeding, or at least exploring it. So by being here today, you've created something really pretty wonderful for yourself. And I think I don't think we pause often enough and say, "Oh, I did do something pretty nice for myself." My tendency is like, I should have done more. I should have tapped longer. I should have paid 100% attention the whole time through. Versus like, hey, I did do something good. I exposed myself to something. I tried some stuff on. I did some tapping. I got to hang out with some pretty awesome people. Um, so if you're willing to, kind of improv in this moment, like, what do you appreciate about what you did today? What did you face or feel that you might not have otherwise? And you're kind of giving yourself a skill for the future. We have talked about uncertainty before, but never quite from this perspective and this approach. So I just am always very touched that people are wanting to make a difference here, and then we start making a difference for other people because we're modeling that. Their mirror neurons are going, oh, that's something different. I have not considered that before. That person is embodying that change. So I just think it's really important to take a moment to say, hey, if you want to give yourself a pat in the back, um, and kind of see how how you feel about saying, hey, nice job, buddy. Nice job being here.
Mm. Ah, when I remember when I first started working with people, um, that feeling like I always wanted to show up. And like a lot of things that we talk about with thriving now, there is a real solidness that comes from being somebody that has oriented themselves so that if they schedule something, that it is likely, it's predictable, but not certain. And I remember when I started communicating, I had someone who canceled a session, a massage session. This was early in my work. And she felt terrible. Like if I had asked for a quart of blood in return for her cancellation, she would have figured out a way to do that. That's how much she was bleeding into the phone with apologeticness. And, you know, at some point she paused and I said, you know, I'm going to go for a horseback ride and it's a beautiful day. And I was looking forward to being with you. But right now, I'm going to go for a horseback ride. And my daughter Rebecca and I went for a horseback ride. And I started with that getting clarity that I wanted people who scheduled with me to know that if it went from being a yes to a yes, but not right this minute, or it was a yes and now it's a no. That's why I have a refund policy. And then, like most things that have a spiritual component to it for me, the guidance was, and for you, Rick, what about for you? And I started communicating that in my history, I'm a reliable person. I consider myself reliable, but that doesn't mean that it's certain that I'm going to be in the right place, the rights, or the technology isn't going to stop or something like that. And so I even lay that out when people schedule with me that I reserve for me and for them the right to end, like, I reserve the right to end early on a workshop. Do we? We have a couple times out of 100 workshops like this.
Not very often, but yeah, we
We
can.
don't very often. Don't cancel very often. Two in a row is pretty rare.
The third time is the charmer in this case.
Yeah. And I will say that when you, for me, when I got the call from Rebecca's phone and it wasn't her voice, the practice of like, okay, gravity's still working. Yeah. All right. So I can stand here. I can be present with whatever is here. And her friend communicated what was going on. And all of a sudden I could feel the resilience and flexibility that was that I have cultivated in my life. And then I know many of you have too. It's the capacity to say, my yes is now suddenly
Something very different.
going someplace else.
Yeah.
And I I trust the people that know me to adapt to that. Well, right now, for example, there's much less certainty than there are sometimes, but it's still going back to what someone had shared. When we want reliability, we want things to count on and people to count on. But like in contact improv, I could count on Tom most of the time wanting to share weight and having the strength because at the time he was, a stock clerk at a grocery store. He was 10 years older than me, but twice as strong, right? Because he carried boxes around all the time. I could count on him most of the time wanting to share weight. There were things I could do with Tom that were really amazing dance wise. And sometimes he was not up for it. Does that make him unreliable? I say it's unreliable if someone is doing something that isn't actually a yes for them, pretending that it is. That is unreliable to me. But someone staying reliably in their yes, even if it means they're more unpredictable, then they're reliably unpredictable. Yeah, they don't have their schedule down like I do. It's okay. If it becomes an issue, I told one client after they'd rescheduled 4 or 5 times, I said, "Hey, why don't we do a last minute thing? If you want an appointment, here's my number. Like you can text me. Do you have anything today?" When you know that you're available that day with much more certainty. You see how improv allows us to be in our work and in our family and in our life. So it ceases to be something that's judgmental that, oh, I plan to do this and I'm not doing that. It's yeah, life's an improv dance. And as long as I'm staying in my yes, at least I'm reliably in my yes.
Well, and one thing we can learn always, I think we work on being resilient. We can work on being reliably there for ourselves, even if it means pivoting what we're doing. A lot of that's learning to tolerate discomfort, learning to say, oh, I'm disappointed and I'm still okay, and just practicing this. So, what you're doing here is actually creating more reliability for yourself. Maybe not on this person's always going to do this or this is always going to work that way, but I can handle what comes up. I can be reliably there for myself. And I think that's a beautiful thing to create for yourself.
Thank you all
Yeah.
very
Thank
much. Onwards. And yeah, our inbox is open, support at thrivingnow.com. Anytime you want to share something that comes to you right after the session or downstream. Well, thank you, Kathy.
you. Bye,
Appreciate it.
everyone. Yeah, it's such a pleasure, everyone.